morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. It is Tuesday, January 17th. Fantastic. We are well in our well in the way of our second week of the year. Hope the year is going well for you. I am the badass Buddha, Lori Monaco. Welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche, and thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. Can you believe it's already the 17th?
Yeah, I know.
I know I'm waking up every day, but it just still seems like, wait a minute, I'm not catching up to the date. It's just, good morning, Alicia. So I'm saying the awareness part couldn't be more true and more important than now. Because if you look at it, it was either just New Year's Eve for you or it was Three Kings Day. That's it. What else? How did those other days sneak in?
Amen. I know. And this is the whole point. The whole point is that everything moves so quickly. You know, the older we get, the faster it moves. And then before we know it's a year's gone by, before we know it's 3 years, and then before we know it's 5 years. And that's why it's really important for us to slow down and really be more present. And that's why this conversation for this whole entire month of January is so valuable, because we have to really take stock of our lives. The world is crazy and it's ever changing, and nobody can create your happiness except you. And so we have to make sure that we are checking in with ourselves to see where we are at for our own happiness. That's the whole point of that.
Say it again for the people in the back.
I don't know, because I don't know what I just said. We're in charge of ourselves, and we have to check in with ourselves frequently, daily, to ensure that we are living a joyful life, because we're the only ones that are in charge of that. Was that close? It wasn't exactly. I paraphrased
our own. See, that's the operative. Our own. We are always investing in what the neighbors are doing, what grill they got, what basketball net they put up, what volleyball net, how many parties they're having this summer. Oh my God, how many cars they have there. Invest all that awareness. I'm aware that you are there. Say that to yourself in the mirror. We invest too much outside, right besides us. Just turn it, inquire within. That's what it's all about. It's our awareness. Definitely. Good morning, Arlene and Darlene. Leanne.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So today is another conversation with our focus on awareness for the month of January. Today is how did I get here? So far, what we've gone over is this. We started with, it all starts with awareness. Then we went to whose reflection is in that mirror. Then we went to the life you are living and who are you. And now we're going to talk about how did I get here? And what are you tolerating? That's going to be Thursday's conversation with our guest, Liza. Liza will be the first guest of the year. And Liza's an old favorite. We love having Liza on the show. She's always brings so much to the table, and she's always a little sassy. There's always that sassiness to her that we love. So she fits perfectly on the show. So we put together some very great conversation today, because when we were preparing yesterday, we started throwing out phrases that are really common for people to, this conversation is a little bit about accountability, although we're not going to specifically talk about accountability for another couple of months. But again, it's about awareness of accountability. So before we get into all that, let's set our intention for the show. Let's do our mantra, and then we'll start the conversation. All right. So as always on Viva, we want you to start your day off with intention. So set your intention for whatever it may be today. Set it now, set it after the show. You could change it throughout the day, but go about your day being intentional.
I'm grateful. I'm saying my gratitude prayer as I'm trying to pray it. And grateful. Share your gratitude with intention. That makes you the richest person in the room when you do that.
Amen to that. All right. And before we do the intention, we do want to acknowledge this, that one of our most loyal tribe members, Milagros Medina. She's such a sweetheart, wonderful person. We've had her on as a guest. She's a phenomenal person. Her mother passed away very unexpectedly last week on Thursday, right after she found out. What was it? Right after that show, or in the evening of our last show, and so we just want to send lots of love to her from us here at Viva Cafe con Leche and from our tribe, because she is a tribe member, and she definitely deserves that support. So if you are friends with Milagros, message her and just let her know you're thinking about her and that you're sending your love. All right, here we go. We'll do the mantra. Say it loud, say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I own my truth.
And I keep it real.
You know, Gladiator Guru, I like that color on you. You look very nice I mean, I love the cap. That color pretty, but especially the burgundy. You look very nice in that.
I was going through purging again, and I have a box of old stuff and some of Eric's Scully's, and this was in there. And I think I warned in the beginning parts of the show. This I got like in 2017. No, longer. And I love it, and I didn't wear it for a while. And I said, let me burgundy it up today, yo. Love it.
Are you all in burgundy?
Yep. Everything is burgundy. And then Tiffany gave me these earrings for Christmas, and I thought they would look good against the burgundy. And this I've had. And then my word for the first quarter of the year, and I think we should get one, but I chose this one, is this.
Idealist. Mm-hmm. As opposed to a realist.
Just, you know what? Just working the brain, working it like a full-time job. The thoughts and the ideas that pop in, weigh them. Are they worthy? What am I doing? Am I going all in to the projects I already have going on, to the ones that I've already began? So this first quarter, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be enough with the nonsense. If you don't have a VIP pass to my life, you're not coming in. The party's not for you. And that's it. I think that's what it is. And what I'm saying that to myself too. No more BS from woulda, shoulda, couldas. That's no more VIP. So I am going to work my ideals into reality. So that is at the end is a plus. Yeah, realist, making the list, completing, all of that.
Oh my God, I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that. That's perfect.
I feel like really short next to you.
Yeah, I'm always forever fixing it too.
Okay.
It depends on the guest. Like I hate when we have guests on and like one of us will be here, one of us will be here, and then the guest, like we're all I try to make sure that we're even, at least both either of us are even, or at least 2 out of the 3. So so listen, this is what happens. It is January 17th. Before you know it, everything just goes by so rapidly. And so we have to really take stock in our lives. You know, we can't just keep saying tomorrow or this or that. So I'll explain what I mean, because when you put something off, or when you say I'll do it tomorrow or whatever, when you legitimately don't have time or can't make the time, really, it's not that we don't have time. We all have the same time. We have 24 hours in a day. But when we legitimately can't make the time, like there's certain things that are happening, it's understandable. But life is so unpredictable that what you think you don't have today and can't make today, you might not have tomorrow, right? So I'll give you an example. Like Sunday, I was extremely productive. It was one of those things where, I mean, I had three things to do, but I was on a roll with one of them. And one of them was very time consuming. And I had started it the night before and did a little bit. But I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this for a couple hours and I'm going to finish and then I'm going to do the rest of my stuff. And what ended up happening was it was like literally an 8-hour job. Like I didn't think it would take that long, but it was that long. So I kept going and kept going. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take out that other thing. I'm not gonna do three things today. I'm gonna do two things today. And then as more time progressed, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna take that other thing out. And then my daughter was like, the little one was like, I want to go here and go here. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take a break in a little while. We'll go there. It'll be a nice break. But when you're just on a roll and you're like, if I take that break, I am not gonna get back to it. So I said, okay, you know what? I talked to my kid and I said, listen, you're off tomorrow, meaning yesterday. And they said, we will go tomorrow. She was upset. I said, but listen, seriously, like I cannot stop what I'm doing. And I finished it. And it was so nice to finish it. It was so, even though I literally like, I got up several times, but truly I left a dent in one spot on the couch because that's where I sat and put my little station of what I was working on. So there was an ass dent from being there all day, but I got it done. And then yesterday we had a whole bunch of other things that we were supposed to do, two of which I didn't do that Sunday. But then something happened and it ended up kind of pulling like an extra 2 hours out of the day and threw us off completely. And when I say off us, meaning my sister, my youngest daughter and I. And so I didn't get what I still didn't get the two things done. So I kind of looked at yesterday as like, well, yesterday wasn't that great of a day because I didn't get done what I needed to get done and I was supposed to. So that comes on today. However, I could look at it that way. But the reason that we were so off our game yesterday was we were planning on doing our food shopping so that we could do our meal prep, all this stuff, be back by a certain time, and then work on this other project. We meaning my sister and I. My sister's going to work with me. My sister lost her phone in the store, and her phone had her credit cards, her driver's license, right? So we're back and forth. We went to two stores before she realized it. So we're like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, looking for this, recombing, like everything, right? So she's on the phone with her cell phone company, blah, 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 right? And then we're like, okay, let's just go home and you start calling places or whatever. We get home and there's the phone. So, right. So of course, like it starts a conversation on awareness because she's like, oh my God, I'm better at this. I wasn't being aware. Like I wasn't paying attention. And I said, okay, listen, in the end, this turned out to be a really good day because yes, we did waste literally an hour and a half of going back and forth between two stores, but you didn't lose the phone. You didn't lose your identification. You didn't lose your credit cards. So it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. But in the end, what did it teach us? Because then I had little gladiator guru sitting on my shoulder go, and what did you learn? I said that to my sister, like, what did we learn about this? So today then becomes the day that I focus on those two things and I stay steadfast with it. But it was all awareness. It was awareness of what I did on Sunday. It was awareness of what I know I'm capable of, what I know what can distract me. And then things that happen that you don't expect that can all now put you down 2 days. And I could be upset about it. And I could have got home last night and we ended up coming back, saw the phone and went back out to go food shopping because that's what we still needed to do. But we left in peace out. And I said to myself, I could go back today and, sit down and start working on it, but I was tired. I know I've learned over the last, especially couple of months that I really, truly am no good after a certain hour. Like, so if I try to work on stuff that requires thought, it's not going to be good quality. So I had to just forego it. And then I realized how actually physically tired I was.
Yes.
So that's when you know, like, time does go by, but you've got to stop and check in with yourself and review every single day.
Yeah, because if you push yourself, you are going to have created less than, just because you're racing against time, or you need to prove something to someone or even to yourself, which is really not a competition. But a lot of us are stuck in that mentality. And you said we all have 24 hours. Well, I remember in my Watermark podcast, the one thing I used to start off with every day was, remember, it only takes 2.5 seconds to text message or say hello to someone, whether it's through a smile on a stranger or you actually reach out to somebody. Out of the 86,400 seconds that we have in a day, some people, the numbers work with their brain. 24 hours seems like they have a long time. Oh, I have time. I have time. I have all these hours. But when you say 86,000 seconds, you're like, damn, that's all you hear in your head is when the seconds
Yes.
go. So you
Yes.
gotta, you gotta be aware. You gotta figure out what's your gig. What is it that makes you want to get up and makes you want to, like, swim in the ocean or sit in
What
a
makes you
sauna?
magically orgasmic?
Exactly. What you got to figure out, because as only you can. And then the only person that you got to deal with that's going to upset you is yourself. See, we're so quick to be upset with everybody because, oh, I can't believe you said that. Or, you start being upset with yourself, because then that's the awareness coming through. When you're okay with everything you do, you got to question yourself. Iritza, hi, mama. I haven't seen you in the other show, Kathy Ruiz, but let me tell you, when you handle the coming back and forth to an hour and a half, see, a lot of people forget that they too lose things and expect somebody to help them find it. But when it is not us
Ooh,
that have lost something or misplaced something, then we're aggravated by the other person, because now we feel like they're cutting up into our day and into our time because they were irresponsible. So the way you sounded when you were explaining that story, like you were free flowing, just being there support for your sister, and that was beautiful, because we forget that we too do stupid stuff. Not that you're stupid, Leanne, I didn't absolutely mean to say it that way. That we do things, and then we need to support somebody. And when we're the
it
support for
happens.
somebody else is when we feel all high and mighty. Like, did you not forget yesterday you put your panties on backwards? Hello. That's the sort of thing that we got to be aware of. Okay, so awareness is not easy, yet it is not hard. But let me tell you, it is the most beautiful thing that you will gift yourself. If you have, then you know what I'm speaking of. If you started, but you took 3 steps forward and it got a kind of like scary, and you took 2 steps back, it's okay. You're still on the path. And if you haven't started, get to it, because it is the best investment that you will make. And let me tell you something, putting time into yourself, learning to love yourself inside, so that the outside, you're Bo Derek coming out of that water with them braids, and you don't give a shit who's looking at you. Enough, enough, enough with the, what's that word I'm trying to find? Help me out here. When you and enough with the self-criticism. That's not the word I wanted to say, but enough with the I should have's, I could have's, I would have's.
Yes.
You take this year into saying, I guess everything I planned last year was not in the cards for me, and accept it. Because guess
Yes.
what you're doing? You're living on yesterday's tide.
Yes, that is
You
the
know,
truth,
you're,
for
you're
sure.
not riding the wave of your now. So your chaos is going to keep falling backwards. Why would you roll backwards? You
Right.
know, walk forward.
Oh, Liza.
So, and let's do it. If you lost 50 pounds last year and during the holidays you gained 20 back, guess what you were doing? You were enjoying time with people you love.
And in the end, you
And
still lost
remember,
it.
for those of us that have always been a roller coaster with our weight, We always gain weight when we're happy.
Not me.
When you're
Not that's
around
not true.
people, when you are happy. So
Mm,
so
I
look
gain
at it
weight
as
when I'm
that.
upset.
So yeah, look, like when Margie left her phone in Spain in the cathedral courtyard, and it was the only time she saw me run, and and I didn't have a care in the world. I'm like, well, whatever. If it's lost, it's lost, and she's going. But like, yeah, like when you're single, you're in shape. You watch what you eat. You want to fit in them jeans and tuck that white beater in and put the belt on. That's me. That's my dream, right? So what happens? Then you meet someone and you're happy and you're going out to eat all the time and lovey dovey. Or when you're with your family at the holidays, try this, taste this, let's do this. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm like that. But your happiness should not weigh in on your weight. So be aware of what is that makes you happy and what not. And then cultivate the shit out of it. Build that foundation according to your dimensions. That's what this is all about. When you become aware of who you are building a solid foundation for where you will be launching from. Without your self awareness, you're always going to be and a boat. You're always gonna where the water's gonna seep in through the wood because it's not solid. Build a solid foundation. How do you do that? Ride the wave of awareness of who you are, what you love, where you're going, what you're gonna do, what you're not gonna do, who the hell you're gonna cut from your life because my scissors are sharp. Let me tell you that. I have been sitting with self, and there's a lot of names that pop up, and my scissors are sharp, and I'm going for it because I am aware of my value. I am aware of what I put out into this world, and I am aware of who deserves to be in my life at this stage going forward and who does not. So be aware of everything not only the good things, but the bad things as well. How else do you suppose to fix your shit? Go ahead, Laura.
Liza said that she is a beautiful. She says she's her mother's savage daughter, a beautiful hippie soul. She definitely is a hippie soul. I can attest for that for sure. I've known her for long enough.
That's exactly what I am too. I was that middle child she hated, so I know I was her savage daughter.
So today's conversation is how did I get here? Like we were talking about who you are last week. And now it's like you're looking around, you looked at your life and you're like, and now it's like you have to become aware of how you got here. All right. And yes, it is a little bit of accountability piece, but it first we always start with the awareness. We'll get to the accountability. We'll redo all of this when we get to the accountability piece. I believe it's in March, but we have to stay steadfast on the awareness. So oftentimes, this is what we came up with. Oftentimes, when we are asked about, like, we say things, make statements like, well, I'm not happy and I'm so tired of my job and I'm done with my relationships and all that stuff. When we start asking the deeper questions, okay, well, what needs to change? What are you doing as a part of this? What have you contributed? And most people want to sort of skate by it. So we do like three things: plead ignorance, make excuses, or make false future statements. And all of them still all end up being lack of accountability. Like when we're becoming aware of our situation, we will make statements, but we don't want to take accountability, which is that awareness piece. So for instance, we're so excited about discovering new people and listening to their stories, like Gladiator Guru said, but we put no effort in discovering ourselves. So that was what Margarita had said before. And I wanted to quote that. That's what she said yesterday when we were speaking. So these were some of the statements that we came up with that really kind of bring this how did I get here mentality. Okay. I really got to do better. So people say, I really got to do better. They come aware that they're not happy in their life. They say, oh, I really got to do better. But you don't. Like this is us saying to you, somebody says to us, oh, I really got to do better, but you don't. I know, or I know all about it. That's my mother's favorite line. But do you really? I didn't ask for this, but you tolerated it. I don't know, Were you awake at all in your life? When somebody says, I don't know, like, how are you tolerating that job? How are you putting up with that? I don't know. I'm working on it. Are you really, though, is the question. I don't have blank. I don't have money. I don't have finances. I don't make enough money. I don't have a car that works properly. I don't have an education. And the questions that we pose to you are, do you have a brain? So can you think? And do you have a mouth? Can you speak? Because all of those in the end are just excuses. You got here because of what? You. What you did or didn't do, what you did or didn't say, what you did or didn't learn, what you did or didn't take ownership of. Your past choices got you here. Your current choices can get you out of here. And with that, I'm gonna go in a couple of minutes to go take my kids. So take it away, Gladys. You to like talk about this. That was a lot to digest right there.
It is. I'm still digesting. I think it. Say that last part again, because we are trying to fix what happened yesterday, or we're kind of stuck there.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking of when you're saying.
So
not realizing.
You got here because of you. So what you did or didn't do, did or didn't say, did or didn't learn, did or didn't take ownership of, your past choices got you here, which means your current choices can get you out of here.
And that is something we're always talking about. That's why I brought up earlier about building your solid foundation, because we were thrust into the floor plan of our yesterday. And what we don't consider or even applaud ourselves for is that although we were thrown into the half-assed foundation in our past, we made it out. And we're here building the solid foundation that no one can take from us, because we're using all the ammunition from our past experiences to push forward with our now. So that's why dwelling on what happened and what they did to us and how we weren't loved enough by our parents and all of this stuff that affects us all in different ways. And we play them out in so many different scenarios in our mind that we're always sitting down watching that movie while life is passing us by. So what happened yesterday happened. It sets the premise, it gives you the gumption. It tells you let's move forward. But our hearts want to move forward. Our spirit's ready to dance down that whatever brick road you painted. But our mind is like, oh no, but what if that happens again? What if I fall? What if you don't? So if you have to reach back into tomorrow to gain awareness of your today, make it not even a coffee visit. Make it can I have a glass of water and guzzle it down type of visit. Just to go back and review really quickly, where were you at a certain time in your life where you thought you were supposed to be somewhere else, and then return and be fully present in your now. Be aware of all of you, your achievements, the courage that it took you to pull yourself out of wherever it is you were, and the love for yourself to want to crawl to your safety. That is where that is where all of that awareness is. Not what happened to me, but how the hell did I get out of it when I didn't even think I was going to survive during it? The awareness that yesterday is just that. And today is all you have. So be aware of who you are. Be aware of what you love, what you would love to see, your desires for the future. Be aware of what you are capable of handling in your now to make that happen. Don't overexert yourself. Don't overwrite a to-do list, hoping you'll get to it and then feeling down when you don't. Keep it so real with yourself that if today you get up and you only feel like doing 3 things, guess what? You're going to do those 3 things so amazing that tomorrow is going to be 6 things and the next day 9. And until you complete whatever you got to complete in that quarter of your life. But you have to make it so realistic to you, whether it's more or less or just right. You know, we're not Goldilocks. We're not going to have that option every day in our lives. So when you decide, exactly, Kathy, you got to be gentle with yourself. And you got to accept that you can't do it all. You got to accept that you will attempt to try something. And for those that succeed on that first attempt, I love you. I honor you because that's not me. But I don't envy you because your path is not my path. So the celebration begins for all of those who can do that. Because guess what? Those are the ones we watch. Those are the ones we say, I can do this because I know it's been done. That's the camaraderie we also have to have in our lives because we need those people to even if we mentally reach out to them and say, okay, this is what I want to do. Oh, I can't. And then remember, that's what friends are for. You reach out and you remember so-and-so did it. So-and-so's attempting to do it. Totally different from what I want to do, but they're doing it. They said they were going to do this and they did it. And then you love on them and then you succeed. That's basking in the humanness of it all. No jealousy, no envy, no copying, just being. And when you just be and you have all these resources to look at and realize that it has been done, which means I can do it, then you just move forward. You're aware of what your capabilities are. And I think that's what we're going to talk about. What are your capabilities? How did you get here? Can we answer some of that? Iritza, Liza, Kathy. How did you get here? Leanne, can you answer that? No one's talking? Yeah, because you got to restart. Yes. You know, I don't know how many of you have gone on my webpage, but and the main page, it tells you it tells you that how important you are because we allow ourselves. I got here by design order. I love that because we allowed ourselves. You know, the brilliance of who you are doesn't have to match the brilliance of someone else. We all were born with an assignment in our lives, which is so beautiful because it's like that spiral that shoots out in all these different kaleidoscope colors, and that is who we are. So there's no comparison, there's no competition. Say, hey, I see what you're doing. Good job. I wish you well. And then you go on your journey. That's how you get further on your journey when you're supporting even the strangers. You see somebody doing something, applaud them and keep going. And you're struggling with yours, but applaud them because you seeing what someone else is doing should light those firecrackers up your ass to get you to complete what you're doing. You see? I love that. That's right. New chapters, new beginnings. You know, when you turn that page, you turn the page to the new chapter you want to start in. You know, I have many notebooks, and for Christmas, I got another one because my granddaughter knows, and this is how I write, that I love blank pages. So when I'm having a hard time, like last night, I'm writing my chapter for her badass story. I'm writing my chapter, right? I feel like I'm on a roll. Then I'm like, after 4 pages, I'm like, I don't think I want to write about this. And I didn't get upset. I just turned the page. Look, I turned the page.
Turn the page.
And So this is some stuff here, right? I didn't start on this page because I need a fresh canvas look. So you go to that. So as Leanne said, you want to write a new chapter in your life? Open the fucking book. Pop that pen and start creating the life you want to live by all the experience you have already lived. So now you basically have a do and do not list. The pros and cons of your arousal, the pros and cons of your attention seeking. You own that. You don't need nobody pointing fingers at you. Nobody. You need to be so honest with yourself that you're going to make yourself cry. Make yourself cry. Don't make anybody else make you cry. Because it's easy. And then you can blame them for your sorrows and they made me feel bad. No, you do that to yourself. I love handwriting too. That's how I write all my books, Leanne. I handwrite everything.
When you said don't make people cry, that's the truth, because a lot of times, and you've said this before, I've heard you say this numerous times. It's like our pain becomes like if somebody's being a certain, what's that expression you use when somebody's their pain becomes your pain, like so in other words, when we're hurting, we want to make other people hurt because we're hurting. So if we are at a point in our lives where we're looking at it going, how did I get here? I didn't really sign up for this. You have to take ownership of the fact that when you look back at that, you have to say, like, I wrote that story. I directed that movie. I mean, whatever analogy you want to use. I was the one that created that.
I wrote it, directed, produced it, and was the main actor.
Yes. And there's other players. See, that's the difference. See, your story, you have to understand that your story, my story, Gladiator Guru's story, everybody's story, we could only write our own, but we do have characters in the story, but they're also writing their own story. And we have to learn how to figure and balance all of that out. So we cannot take ownership of somebody else's story. When they screw up and it affects us, we could only take ownership of the part that we played with regards to their part. So when we look at that and say, oh God, I don't like my life, it went this, it's not the life that I had wanted to live really, then you have to look at that and say, okay, well, what was it that I wanted? Like, what was I really, I must not have been very clear on what I really wanted, because that would have happened. And people say, well, stuff happens, life happens, shit gets in the way. True enough. But if you really talk to or listen to people who are very successful in their life, people who've really created the life that they want to live, they will tell you their life was not perfect. They what's his name? Jack Canfield. He talks about in the Secret how he wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. He sent that in for publication. Like, I forgot how many times it was. He sent it to like a ridiculous amount of publishers. And then finally one publisher picked it up. And I'm going to tell you, that one publisher was probably like, I am so freaking glad. And the other ones were probably like, crap, I should have picked it up, But he kept going because he was clear on what he wanted, So when I look at my life, when I look at, say, how did I get here? I know how I got here. It was all my choices because of my lack of clarity, my unwillingness to stand up for what I truly wanted, my giving my power away to way too many people that just dictated where I went and basically said, follow me. And I was the dumbass who said, okay, so that's the reality. That's my reality. So I have to say, okay, my past choices got me here. My current choices can get me out of here. If that is truly, and that's the other piece, that's truly what I really want. Because like, as Gladiator Guru always says, don't lie to yourself. You could say, how did I get here? Answer all these questions we've been doing. Who am I? Who's the reflection looking back in the mirror? You can see all these, like the sometimes awareness, people have the awareness. Yes, I hate my life. I don't like the way I look, blah, blah, blah. They go through this whole laundry list. I don't make enough money. I don't like my career. and then they stay there. And that's why we figured it was really important for us to really knock it into everybody's heads. All these pieces. Let's talk about each piece before we get to the take action piece. So that when you are ready to take action, you're not going to use those excuses, because you're going to be so uncomfortable with the pieces that you have not changed in your life that you're going to be like, okay, just give me the action pieces already, because I'm ready to go. I cannot be
Mhm.
reminded of this any longer. I'm ready to go.
Even if you're scared, see, Maggie wrote, and that is the hardest part, to know that our life is our own doing. And it is frightening. Don't get me wrong. It is frightening making decisions for yourself and hoping that you're making the right one after you've been with somebody, whatever the scenarios are. But it can be scary. Don't get us wrong. We're not sitting here saying get your shit right, put your big girl panties on, pull yourself up from your bootstraps. We're saying that anything you want to achieve in your life that is positive, that will bring health, because when you're in sync, mind, body, and soul, then you're healthy. There's a healthiness about it. When your mind is stuck on your outer appearance and the others two are struggling like a tug of war to heal the inside, you're going to have self-doubt. When they're not in cahoots, there will be self-doubt, and it is the hardest thing. But then look at what you're saying. The hardest part to know is that our life is our own doing. Our life is our own doing, and the operative word here is our life only
Are,
belongs to us.
are.
And we get to choose with whom we want to share it with whom we're going to give days to, whom we're going to take out our sleeping time to dedicate or to do. That is the beauty of it. I was speaking to my friend last night, and I told her, you know what? Because I'm in writing for the article, for the chapter for the her badass story 3. I said, she's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I am just so fucking brilliant. And sometimes I am a chaotic mess. And me saying this makes me fall in love with myself right now. And she cracked up because it is my truth. And I believe it. I don't need anyone else to tell me that it's good or that, yeah, you're absolutely right. I believe that. I am a mixture of both, just like I'm Puerto Rican and Italian, just like all of that other stuff. This is what I am. So yesterday I was feeling a chaotic mess because I couldn't stream. But did I beat myself up about it? No, I put it away. And I said, I'm gonna start tomorrow because I gave myself a deadline to hand this in to the badass Buddha. And so that's what we need to do. Do you have any pointers, Laura? Like any steps they should take? Anything they should create? Again, here is the understand her, and I'm not even writing in my own notebook.
There's the pointer, is to order her journal.
Understand her, my journey, my journal, my journey. But what I'm saying is write something down, create a list. I don't care if it's on a paper bag, and pin that bitch to something. Do one of those push pins in your wall, on your bathroom mirror, or whatever. But remind yourself, because life will beat you up on its own. Do not participate in it. So when life is rolling and it's chaotic out there now, gas prices are going up. I don't know if anybody else noticed, but it was $3.15 2 days ago. I go by it yesterday. It's like $3.59. So don't participate in any abuse towards you, towards your person, towards your mind, towards your body, towards your spirit. Don't let nothing infiltrate your day that's going to take you away from your awareness. So what are some tools they can use, badass, to do that?
The first thing, again, it's about awareness. So it really does help to write things. Really, really, truly does. So get anything, order her journal. The beauty about her journal is it asks you questions, but you also, because you have two, you have the journal and then you have the workbook, right? And
Yes, I have the journal, and I don't even know where's my journal. Oh, that see, I'm a hot mess. Love it because I'm sitting around my own mess.
so she has a thing that asks you questions, and then there's a blank one that you can just write.
I have a 95-page interactive journal that is shares the simplicity of life, and it asks you simple questions like this: Are you happy? That's it. Are you happy in the middle of interacting stuff? Why? Because sometimes we need that disruption. When we follow something A, B, C, D, E, F, G, your mind already knows it's going in order. So I did a journal that's going to disrupt your train of thought, and it's going to make you giggle, and it's going to get you like, okay, what's next? What next? What's next? Now you're interacting and you're aware that you want to learn more. So anyway, that's that. Go to my webpage if you want it. I'm selling it from my webpage. If you want it, you want it. I love it. I think it's fucking brilliant. And I'm going to support me and what I do 1050%. So if you're on board, let's go for a ride. That's how I'm living my life this year.
So, journals like that, like, here's what you need to become aware of, right? Is that if you're saying, how did I get here? Who am I? I don't understand. I don't really recognize this person. You got to start writing this down. You can't just think of it because we forget, like, especially when you're creating a new routine, especially when you're breaking an old, a current habit, we forget, and you have to actually look at it. Meaning, like, okay, so I created my new schedule for the year. What time I want to wake up, what time I want to go to sleep, what I want to do, blah blah blah. And if I do it the way I set it up, I mean, I leave room for spontaneity. It's not that I don't, but I want to have specific things done, or else I am going to get behind. And so, for instance, I have a thing that says between 5 and 7 in the morning is my time, which means that I have to get up at 5 o'clock, but I could choose to, like, 5 o'clock could be, do I choose to stay in bed a little longer? Do I do whatever, Now, I started on a program to help me lose back the weight that I didn't want to. I'm doing a different type of like a weight loss program. That's not even a weight loss program. It's just a program to get me to rethink, because that seems to be the problem. I'm a binge eater, and I know that. So I have to, like, do these steps, and read these articles, and I started to take notes, and I know that takes about 30 minutes out of my day every single day. And so my head, I was like, okay, that would be perfect to do in the morning. It's quiet. I sit, nobody's awake. I sit, I do my lessons, I take my notes, and I prepare. Well, I forgot because it's not quite in my routine yet, right? So this morning I did my normal routine, help my daughter get ready for school, empty the dishwasher, put a load of laundry, whatever it is that I do, let the dogs out, give them water, feed them, all this stuff. And then I have to make my breakfast. I remembered that because now I'm eating breakfast. And then I said to myself, oh man, I didn't leave enough time to do my notes, to write listen to my lessons and write my notes. And now in my head, I'm like, oh crap, because now I've got to fit it in somewhere else. And it would have been just so much easier to fit it in. So I have to be conscious of this and say, tomorrow, I have to make sure that I remind myself that this is the reason I'm waking up. My alarm is going off, and this is the reason I need to get up at this time. So write stuff down, put it up in front of you to remind you if you need to. But you got to start with writing it down and saying, you know what? This is why I'm not here. Like, this is, how did I get here? I got here because of this. What am I looking at? What don't I like about my life? What is it about me that I don't know, that I like and I don't like, write this stuff down and then look at it. That's the other thing, is we tend to, like, write it down in a journal, or we write it down on a piece of paper. Because I know I've been bad with this, and this has been my thing for this year so far, is January is my organizational month. I'll put it in there and I'll just forget about it. You got to look at it again. You have to review it, because you got to remind yourself, this is what I'm not working on. This is what's not working for me. You cannot um, make the changes unless you understand the changes that need to be made. I mean, truly. So write it down, post it on the wall, put it phone reminders in your phone so they pop up so that you're aware of the things that you have to do, and then work towards that. Check in with yourself at the end of your day. Check in with yourself at the end of the week. Get an accountability partner to say, okay, but we're getting ahead of ourselves because we're talking about right now. We just want to keep it simple. We want to keep you at understanding yourself. So the accountability partner could be a friend saying, hey, did you write down those things that you learned on the show today? Did you answer those questions? Did you do that stuff? Did you sit? Maybe discuss it with each other. Maybe you can help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, listen, I'm not sure if I'm getting this right. This is who I think I am. Then somebody on the outside, like Gladiator Guru, if we did this with each other, I could write down and then read to her who I think I am. And then she could turn around and say, and this is what else I see, because she sees things that I don't see, good and bad, right? And we need both. We need that person to be honest with us too. We need to be honest with ourselves. But it's very helpful to have that tribe member, that person that you can go to and say, I want to work on myself, but can you point out the things that you see that I'm not? Here's my list. Go with your list though. Go with your list. Don't say to the person, just tell me what it is. Don't let them tell
Yeah.
you. You go with your list and then let them agree or disagree. Let them add or not add. Sometimes we are the hardest on ourselves. For the vast majority, I think we're the hardest on ourselves. We will see the more negative things about ourselves than the more positive. But unless you are very enlightened, well, not enlightened. When you're around a very arrogant person, they tend to say all the fabulous things about themselves and won't take accountability for any of the bad stuff. So you get these extremes, and the whole point is for somebody on the outside to say, well, this is, you're not giving yourself enough credit, or I've noticed that you tend to ignore this. These are the things that I've noticed that not be careful about need, be careful about shoulding. Just say, this is what I've noticed. I've noticed
Mm-hmm.
that you'll say that you're going to do something and you don't. That's a bitter pill to swallow, but that's something that we need to hear sometimes. If we cannot come to that truth ourselves, it needs to be told to us so that we can make a change.
Yes, I totally agree because what you said is very important. When you go with your list to someone and they're your accountability, they're letting you know, well, you can add this from my experience, from what you do, this is what you can add. Also, remember to acknowledge that person. See, a lot of us are, what's that word? It's a positive word. We seek out people for accountability partners or somebody that we know is going to always tell us the truth. And that's always going to correct us. Well, I don't think this sounds right, whatever the case may be. So they inspire us. So remember to, if you are an empowered person, you're going to always recognize the person who empowered you. And it's not for validation. It's for, you empowered me. Thank you for that. You know, and you held me accountable. Thank them, because that's also you being aware that you can't do anything, you can't do everything on your own, that you needed some inspiration, some enlightenment, some truth outside of you. And that also empowers you to be aware that you are a grateful person, that your gratitude towards learning from other people is one thing, and acknowledging that they have aroused that in you is another. See, I've always had a problem with that. And people think I want a recognition or accolades or anything. No, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And I know what I need when I seek you out, because I too need people I'm gonna boomerang up. That's why I'm constantly giving compliments to people. It's not so you can like me. It's because you deserve a compliment. It's because thank you for that. I forgot about that. How simple is that? Have anybody ever told you that? You, Laura, has anybody ever? I know I tell you all the time. but it makes you feel like your purpose, you're living in your purpose. And they don't need to tell you in front of people. They can just send it in a text. No one else is ever going to read it, but you know that you made a difference in someone's life. That means you're living on the path of your purpose. And although you might think your life's a mess, but maybe that mess is just a beautiful mosaic of what you are. So never stop being kind, never stop being grateful. Be aware of who you are. Find a compatibility, what is it, accountability partner, and speak your truth. And one thing I have to tell people, because I came across this the other day, and then it reminded me of the badass Buddha, where somebody says, well, I don't want to tell you anything because then I don't want you to get pissed off. And I'm like, where does that come from? Why do people feel they can't tell me anything? And that was my niece. It wasn't even a stranger. Yes, somebody was raised with me. And that kind of like threw me back. So that's introspection. And that maybe is taking a survey, going out to the street saying, why do people think, I don't know, however that works. What do you think?
Well, no, and that's the introspection, is to, rather than take what she said and say, that's ridiculous, you're being stupid, and making her, and not that you did that, I'm saying this is what's commonly people do,
It threw me back.
is lessen what she said, is to take that step back and say, do I really do that to people? Is it specific to her, or or more than one person, does more than one person feel that way? And is that how I want to come across? Because that's the other piece. The awareness is there, but maybe that is what you want to do. Maybe you do like pissing people off, you know?
I do, but I love, I do. If I don't like you, I'm going to piss you off, which, just get away. But what I'm saying is, those who know me know that my pitch goes up, down, and Beatty, if you're still on, my pitch goes up and down, and people sometimes think I'm angry, or because they're not paying attention, and I'm just passionate. And I know you've seen it. I go up, I go down, I come all around. And if you're saying something to me and I don't agree with them, like, what are you talking about? That's not. Tell me how. Give me an example. And when you can't give me an example of what you're accusing me of, then we're gonna have like, okay, what is it? Now, is it introspection for you, for me, or for the relationship we have? There are three questions in one. A lot of people don't want those questions. So, is it something about you? Is it really about me? Or is it our union right now that maybe we need to take a breather from? It can be, and it's not even a relationship wise, your best friend, your soul sister, it could be no blood relation, no sexual relationship. It could just be it just because. And that's why you sound like you're yelling all the time. Okay, this is true. But those are three questions. So when somebody comes up to you, and I brought that up for this very reason, when somebody comes up to you and accuses you of such a thing, you need to say, what do you mean? And if I'm coming out mean, then is it your insecure issues that my voice is? That's why I said the badass Buddha and I, we tend to seesaw, because me by myself is like, what? Is it about you that you're accusing me? Did I truly do that? Or is it that what we're doing right here, it's not really conducive to our lives right now? So, and it's not for me, because I just told you that sometimes I am brilliant and at others I am a chaotic mess. I know that I do things that are like people don't understand, or I'm too in your face, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to label me, I'm fine with it. Add it to my back. What I'm saying is, if you want the truth, I'm going to give it to you. If you need me to disagree, agree to disagree, we're there. I'm never going to lie to you. If I feel something's wrong, I'm going to text you, hey, what's up? It's going to start the communication thing. I'm not going to sit there thinking and going over in my head all these scenarios and assumptions that are not going to work. Be aware of your thoughts, of your actions, everything, and be open to receive critique, because it's not in a negative way. It's for a better outcome. Agreed?
Absolutely. It's both sides. It's again, this is we always have to check in with ourselves. We everybody plays off each other. You know, my thought is that I paid a little too much attention to other people, lots less attention to myself, and I was so concerned about hurting other people's feelings, worrying about what other people said, rather than focusing on how I would like to respond to my world, my life. And so once you decide who you are, that starts to align with your life, the way you live your life, the life that you're living in front of you, your environment. And then, like we said before, it's if we're talking about how to get here, you got here because of the choices that you made. And if you're not liking who you are, if you're not liking where you are, then you need to make different choices, which means that you have got to go deeper and make changes within yourself, because you can't do the same. It's again that definition of insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. You cannot keep doing the same thing and
Mm-hmm.
expecting a different outcome. Now, sometimes we make little changes and we think, oh, I've made changes. Like, I'm not doing the exact same thing. But that's where you have, and this is where the accountability partner comes into play with regards to awareness, the first step, not the taking action, the awareness. Because sometimes we think we've made changes, but it's almost like if you're talking about saying, all right, your personality, who you are, your habits, all that is a car. It's like a blue Subaru. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, well, I'm going to get a different car. Like, I don't want the blue Subaru anymore. I'm going to get a different car. And then you do all this research, and then you show up to your friend's house and you go, I got a new car, and it's a red Subaru. It's the same Subaru, but it's just a different color. And what we see is a different car. Oh, well, it's a newer year, but it's the same car. It's the same car. They don't really change much over a year. Sometimes they do. But sometimes we think we changed, but we didn't change all that much. And
And that's
then,
okay.
and that's okay. But the expectation that we set is that we believe that this huge change is going to happen. And then when it doesn't, then we say, oh, well, why'd I bother? Like, I made all this change in my life and it didn't happen. I trust me when I tell you that when you make a big enough change, you will notice big changes in your life. Like, things will be different. It's when you start to observe your world and say, okay, well, I did make some great changes, but I'm still not exactly where I wanted to be. This part of my life changed. This didn't. What's the problem? Means that you still haven't. And listen, I know, because that's me. Like, I've
Right.
described it myself. I have made so much effort into changing the person that I am over the last 7 years. And I have, or 6 years, I have. But there's certain pieces that I have neglected to change. I tried and I made an effort, but it fell through. But now it's become painstakingly obvious that it has to change, because I can't get to the next piece. I'm climbing that mountain, and there's this really hard piece that I need to climb to. And the changes that I'm making little strides, but I want to just throw that, like in the movies where they throw that thing up, that like the grappling hook. I want to throw the grappling hook up to the top and start climbing, as opposed to walking up the path. Because sometimes we can do those big leaps. We can do those things, or at least go to the next one. Maybe instead of walking up this way, I just want to climb straight up to this next shelf. So I had to become aware of the pieces that absolutely positively need to change, that I have dragged. I've changed all these other pieces of myself over the years, except like one or two. And it is now, and these one or two things had needed to be changed 2 years ago. And I've dragged that's why 2021 was so challenging for me. And then 2022 became a really great year because the change was going to happen. And then life gets in the way. Certain things didn't occur. So regroup, right? What do I need to focus on this year? What do I need to do to make happen? What did I learn from all of that? So how did I get here? It's me. It's I made the choices that got me here, which means I can make the choices to get me out of here. And I want to put back up what with when Migdalia said. Um, and that's the hardest part, is to know that your life is your own doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's why we need the support.
We
When
do. But
when you
even in language, you said something. You said you made all these changes and you did some, but you didn't do this. And one of the conversations that the Badass Buddha and I have had throughout in May, it'll be 3 years Viva's been live, is she said, and I know I'm aware that I made all these changes, but I didn't get to do everything, right? That was on your list or that you had set out to do. And it's very simple, as we said, being aware, it really is simple. We make it so difficult. I made all these changes, yet I didn't complete it. It doesn't diminish everything she did. That one word, and this is a word we always talk about, that to be uncomfortable. And time, I look back and the times I put my life on pause, which was 10 years, and I'm like, I could have gotten so much done. It was in my 40s. That's that midlife crisis that gets you to do all this kind of stuff. And I already do crazy stuff, but I would have done more. And so, sometimes time is so relevant, right? Time, we put ourselves in this box for time.
true.
And all we have is now. And what the Badass Buddha and I set out to say is that being aware is where you are today. Reach back and pull back items you need from yesterday to just excel and propel you forward, because now you know what you want because of what you didn't do or what you thought you should have done or what you stored away in your top drawer because of fear. In Spanish, my father would always say, el miedo se deja en la gaveta, which means every time you leave your house in the morning, you tuck that fear in your top drawer and you keep going. And now that's what reaching back in that moment to bring forward today, because as she said, she already has her schedule set for this quarter of her life. That's why we're talking about all of this, is to bring that awareness. How did I get here? And what do I do not to return if it's a negative here? Or what do I continue doing if it's working for you to reach a bigger goal going forward? How did I get here? Look in the mirror, ask yourself that question, and be the disruptor in your life. Like our mantra that we talk about every morning is, I am a disruptor. Remind yourself you are a disruptor, that you are unapologetically courageous, that anything that is thrown your way for the rest of this quarter, you're going to grease yourself, lubricate yourself, baby.
Lubricate. Woo, that
Lubricate
sounds
yourself.
good to me.
And let all the negative shit slide off and tell yourself, no mas. Because what we didn't do when we had the chance, it's still available to us. The question is, do we want to continue what we thought we wanted to do in our yesterday, or are we going to supersize that bitch? The decision is all yours, because we can all do that. Just be honest. No te engañe. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people around you. If you don't want to do something, say it. If you want to do something, say it. If you just... and I kept telling myself lately, and I didn't even have this convo with the badass, and she said it, so that's just confirmation that I do need to get up every day at 7. Fuck that 5 o'clock stuff. But at 7, because that works for me, whether I have something to do or not, and just start my day productively. So thank you for sharing that, and I hope other people got that it is good to dedicate that first hour of the day to yourself. And we know this, but it takes someone to say it again, to be like, she's talking to me. So thank you for that. And thank you, everybody. We went over. Anything else about us?
Nope, that's it. We will see you on Thursday with our guest, Liza Tuck. And we're going to be talking about what are you tolerating, which is going to be a really, we really want you to dig deep on this one. We really want you to create a list, because I've done this exercise before. We've talked about this before, and it really, really brings up shit, because it's amazing what we've allowed to just perpetuate in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's that toleration that causes us to stay stagnant or move very slowly. So yeah, so be ready for that one, and we hope you're going to be excited about it. We want to thank everybody for coming on today. So that's it. So anything else you have to say?
No, you just work work your you in your now and be totally present.
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on. And from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.